have different brains, people like me and some of you from Gosford. It's still not too late to get rewired, guys. I'm sure you're all right with the social media. But anyway, leaving that aside, we've got a great panel. We have Laura John also, who's our youth representative in the United Nations, and we've got James Paterson, who's been on the program a few times. He's a young conservative from the IPA, and among other things, he'd quite like to see the ABC privatised. So if you want to cheer that, or jeer that mildly, that's fine. You know, it's up to you. You might think it's a great idea. In fact, some of the audience no doubt will. I think it's a good idea that the ABC be privatised or made subject to some other form of market stringencies. In any event, we've got a great panel for you with Anthony Albanese, briefly the leader of the Labor Party, and temporary leader of the Labor Party, now the Shadow Minister for Infrastructure, and also, of course, Greg Hunt, the Environment Minister, to round out a great panel. And of course, plenty of things have happened across infrastructure. The road versus rail debate is going on, particularly in Victoria as it happens, but also here in Sydney. And not to mention the great climate change debate that goes on and on and on. And of course, the Palmer United Party signed up to get direct action through recently. So we've got a couple of questions on that as well. How does it work? For those of you who've sent us in questions, we congratulate you, we thank you. We couldn't do it without you because that gives us a chance. We've got hundreds of questions, by the way, from this particular group of questioners. So we thank you very much for that. We've chosen about, I think, 10 questions, which are sort of starting points for discussion. And we probably won't get to all of those, unfortunately. And just because you're the last question given out, don't assume that yours won't get up. Sometimes it happens very randomly because another person in the audience puts up their hand spontaneously and asks a question that you might otherwise have asked. So if someone is in the audience with a question in their hand at the beginning of the show, it's a very good chance you'll get to ask it, but you might not. So don't be too disappointed if we don't come to every single one of you. So what happens is shortly we take you into Studio 24. Tommy Dean, who's our wonderful warm-up guy. Do you know Tommy? Does anyone know Tommy from ABC Radio? And if you've been here before, you've seen him. He's very funny. He's a comedian from Arizona. He's got hair down to his bum. And he's very different to his brother, in fact, who was a Secret Service agent protecting US presidents. You couldn't really imagine Tommy doing that. If you'd like to ask him about that in a minute, you can. In any event, Tommy will warm you up. He'll give you some hints on microphone technique. The key thing he'll say is, when the microphone is hovering over your head, do not look up at it. Do not look up at that microphone, because if you do, you'll be in a tight shot, and you'll be looking like you're seeking answers from above. And no one, believe me, ever gets them. Even Cardinal Pell, sitting on the panel, didn't get answers from above. I'm sure they just broadcast straight in his left ear. Leave all that aside. That's correct. Leave all that aside. So, if you have a question in your hand, you'll get a chance to ask it, most likely. If you don't have a question in your hand, don't be disappointed, because, as I said before, you can get involved by simply putting up your hand. And the only thing we ask of people who do that is to keep to the topic we're talking about. That's really about the only rule we have. If we're talking about climate change, do not put your hand up and ask about rewiring the brains of 14-year-olds through Facebook. Okay? Because you'll get a chance to ask those questions as well. So we're talking about Facebook and rewiring brains, put your hand up, ask about that. If we're talking about climate change, put your hand up and ask your logical follow-up question about that. Now, you can also make a brief comment if you like. The last thing I would say is that if you are a questioner, the microphone will be over your head, as I've just told you. It'll stay there. So if you ask a question, we don't just expect you to then go away after asking your question. You get a chance to come back. Listening to the answers, you can put your hand up and get back involved. So you get a chance to ask follow-up questions, if you so wish. We'll make a follow-up comment. We quite often like to go back to our questioners who've now heard what the politicians or others have said, and then they can respond as they see fit. If they don't think that their question's been properly answered, if they think of something else, they have a further comment, that's all very well. We like the audience to be engaged with the panel, more so than me. So if that's possible, if you like to do that, the microphone will be over your head. Just put your hand up in that classic way. The microphone will be there. My colleagues will tell me, oh, the questioner's got his hand up, or her hand up, and we'll go back to you. It's as simple as that. Overall, we like this program to be fun. We believe democracy can be fun. This kind of public debate is very important for all of us. And the other thing, and the final thing I would say to you is, we have selected an audience that has a wide cross-section of political views. We've done that deliberately. We do it every week. We want the audience to represent broadly the kind of voting intentions of Australia. And you do that. Amongst you, there are people who vote differently than you. Believe me, that will be true. If that is the case, someone sitting next to you puts their hand up and asks a question or makes a comment, and you think, oh, I don't agree with that, just zip it and let them make their comments, because we don't want the audience turning on other audience members. This is a space where everyone should feel safe, except the panelists and me. So there you go, that's simple rules. Respect each other. You don't have to respect me at all, and you can respect the politicians a little more than me, but perhaps less than the visiting guests from the UK. So thank you very much. We'll see you in there shortly.
Into Studio 22 to find your seats. I'm going to call those who have a white ticket to come through first, please, ladies and gentlemen.